let's go through all the books that I read for the month of February. Today is February 29th. I read a total of 22, oh gosh, 22 books that I actually counted on Storygraph. This does not mean that I read only 22 books because some books just are not meant for people to know that I read them. Starting off, I finished God Killer by Hannah Kaner this month. I rated it 2 stars. So what did I say on Goodreads? For God Killer, I said, I really wanted to like this so bad. The prologue, okay, yeah, I remember. The prologue was great. Her parents are like begging her to like, the prologue's good. I don't want to spoil anything about the prologue. We get an introduction to the gods and how they function in the society. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be action packed, following the gods and following this person. I thought it would be not multi POV like it was. Um, the book starts, the characters are flat. The main character is flat. You know, she's a disabled character, but we don't really get more understanding. Like we can see from the prologue how she gets disabled, and then we see that she's in a wheelchair at some points, but she can walk at some points. It just was super flat. There's no emotions. Um, no one had an individual voice. It was like you were reading the same characters every single time, which is like how does that even work when you have four POVs and they all sound the same? There's nothing distinct between the four characters. And maybe it's me and having an issue with third person POV and not liking the singular point of view, but I read a lot of third persons that they're pretty good. Um it was a boring journey that these characters went on. I'm like, something's got to happen, just have a little sprinkle. You're talking about thievery and things like that, and I don't, when is this happening? um this is a book that did not need romance. I think that a lot of authors are scared to just put romance on the back burner. I feel like sometimes we do not need romance just because it's a fantasy book and that's what's popular right now. But then the author's like, no, 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 you guys have to be attracted to each other. And then it's just like, that came out of left field. Where did that come from? It's not going well. It was forced, the romance. Midway through the book, the editor was like, hey, author, you know what this needs? Romance. Add it in. And it did not belong there. I think that it could have been stronger without it, with more of like a found family friendship type of thing. There's no build up, especially in a forced proximity that the characters were in. So that was God Killer, 2 stars. I do not think I will be continuing the series. Next, I read volumes 1 through 5 of Heartstopper. I had a great time. I have not watched the show yet. I think it's a show, not a movie, because I watched Red, White, and Royal Blue last month. But no, I read 1 through 5 of Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. The series was just so cute, so bright and bubbly, and it was my friend's introduction into reading again in his 20s. So he started with Heartstopper. I downloaded all the books on Libby except for the fifth one. He let me borrow his and read it. The fourth book, I remember distinctly, was my favorite out of the entire series. It gets a lot deeper, the fourth book. It goes deeper, it goes more into mental health, mental illnesses, how we handle that. And it was just so touching, and I wanted to cry. I it's that This graphic novel series was just so heartwarming. The sixth book, Heartstopper Volume 6, will be the last one. And I felt like Volume 5 was kind of just like an in-betweener to set up for the ending. Still good, but book number 4, volume number 4 was the best. And then meanwhile, while all this is going on, I'm listening to audiobook wise Redemptor, which is Raybearer 2 by Jordan Ifueko. I said in my review, I so if you Raybearer, I don't even know where to start with this. So I read Raybearer in 2024. I read it on my Kindle. Um, it was great. I enjoyed it. I gave it four stars. I gave RATER 4 stars. Redemptor, though, picks up like immediately where RATER ended off. And if you haven't read RATER, I'm going to be very vague. I'm trying to be super vague with all of these because they're just, going through it. Redemptor picks off right where RATER is. There is a quest. The main character, has to go to the underworld, but she also has to. I can't really spoil it too much, but I'm gonna assume spoilers incoming because I had some issues with this one, and I wrote that in my review because RATER was stronger than Redemptor. Redemptor felt rushed. The main plot that is written on the back of the book on Goodreads does not happen until the last 95% of the book. And I'm like, she's supposed to be going to the underworld. And I was expecting to have that experience of the main character and the author building up the scenes of the underworld and how that really affects her there. I thought it was funny because it felt, like I said, I thought the book felt very rushed and not as thought out and well put together as RATER was. And my point was proven because if you look at the author notes, you'll see that the author says that RATER took her 12 years to write. And you can tell it's very thorough. Everything falls in pieces together. And then you get to Redemptor and you're like, huh? She's supposed to have 12 brothers and sisters. Redemptor damn near 24. And the author says it took her 9 months to write Redemptor. And I'm like, sorry, but you kind of can tell just because it's not what I would have expected or I wanted more. Terasai is a lovely main character. I loved her. I would love to see this adapted into a movie or a series or something. And side note, audiobooks, the narrator was great. The way she did every single character, gave them a different distinct voice. It was lovely. Then I also read Their Vicious Games by Joelle Wellington. This has been on my TBR since 2022. Am I lying? I gave Their Vicious Games 3.75 stars. What can I remember about Their Vicious Games? This book was interesting. It was very, very, very different. And I liked it. I'm starting to get into thrillers a lot more. Um, I'm starting to get into thrillers a lot more, which is something I'm not too into. I love fantasy. I love literary fiction. I love romance. Thrillers, I'm ready to be off to like just be at the edge of my seat. Like that's where I'm at kind of with my reading, what I want to read, like shock me kind of in a way. And this shocked me. I enjoyed the way it ended. It just felt, obviously it's a satire, but also it just felt like this is crazy. Like no fantasy elements. It was just craziness happening. So their Vicious Games is pretty much The Bachelor, but high, high, high stakes The Bachelor, where there's one guy that everyone else wants to marry, our MC. She just wants to get into the school of her dreams. She lost her opportunity because of a event that happened with one of her ex friends. She loses everything. She goes to an elite academy with the upper elites of this town, and she's a poor, not as well off girl in this town. So she pretty much loses everything, gets the opportunity to join this event that she's only heard rumors about, because she thinks that she will be able to get her position back. Um, Safe to say that that's not what she did. She kind of just entered into a gladiator style bachelor event where it's kill or be killed to actually get what she wants. So you just follow that journey. I enjoyed it for what it was. Thought that it was just absolutely ridiculous the things that happened, and I'm just like, why is this happening? Who are the good guys? Overall, a good time. Next, Talia Hibbert's. This was a buddy read, highly suspicious and unfairly cute. I gave this one 2 stars, and no, I gave it 2.75 stars. And it's just my fault because I do not like YA. So why did I decide to read this YA book? Because I love Talia Hibbert. I love her. Her writing, her stories are so great, so fantastic. But I did not like this book. I thought it was very it's is it really fair to say young, because it is young. It is a YA book. The characters are in high school. Um, but cannot fault I can't fault Talia Hibbert for that, because it's just me knowing that I did not like it. So yeah, let's just move on, because I did read another Talia Hibbert book this month. I read The Fake Out by Stephanie Archer. I read a hockey romance. I'm kind of into hockey. We'll get into why pretty soon. Right now, Fake Out. It was just a palate cleanser. Not much to say about it. A romance is gonna romance. Um, I did try and read a lot of romances this month because of Valentine's Day, but then I also tried to read a lot of Black romances because of Black History Month and Valentine's Day. The Fake Out wasn't one of them. I just needed a Kindle Unlimited palette cleanser, and it was there. No review for that one. I read Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I like this one. I like this one a lot. Um, the main character, Misery, she was hilarious as a main character. It was so funny to listen to her talk. I like the Love Hypothesis, and I'm going to be reading Love Theoretically next month. Tomorrow I'm starting it. So I don't mind these books. I don't mind her writing. I think they're fun for what they are. Um, I like Alpha. I like the Omega Verse ABOs. I read some fan fiction um about ABOs. It's okay. It's okay. This is a safe space. We can talk about that. We can talk about that in another video. Yeah. I I might reread this. It was so fun, so cute, so enjoyable for what it was. Sometimes, people say head off, head empty, just for vibes, books, and then you don't care about the writing and stuff. But I felt like the writing was good. Yes, it was info dumpy, but we're not really here for all that. I'm here for the K and. Next, I read another reverse harem Omega Verse book. Um, this one is called The Scent of Us, Part 1 and Part 2, around 600 pages total, by debut author Eliana Lee. These are her first 2 books. And it was an Asian MC. And I think all the characters had different ethnic backgrounds, but they're in Australia, I believe. Do you ever read books where you know the characters have an accent and then you read the book in their accent? It makes the book 100 times more fun. I did this with Honey and Spice, and they all have like British accents. These people had an Australian accent in my voice. I love this one. I don't think I read such a nice reverse harem Omega Verse book since Lola and the Millionaires, until reading this, and it really was so sweet. I love the way everything unfolded, um, and I just it's on Kindle Unlimited. I can't say too much about this series. Why am I into hockey right now? Because last month I read Beartown by Frederick Bachman. 5 stars. Love that book. It is not fair that Frederick Bachman can just put out hit after hit after hit. So many of his books I've rated 5 stars. They're all so good. They hit you where they need to be hit. Feels so good. Such a good read. Such a sad read. And it was so reminiscent of today's society. Then I got to Us Against You, which is Beartown 2, the second book in the series. There's one more, it's called The Winners. Haven't read that yet. I'm going to listen to it in audiobook as well, because I did consume Us Against You audiobook form, and I'm glad that I did, because Us Against You was not as good as Beartown. And I strongly believe that nothing will top Beartown. Beartown should have been one book. There shouldn't have been other books in the series. You know, Us Against You, book 2 in the Beartown series. It follows the people that live in Beartown. Still good. I rated this one 4 stars. I rated Beartown 4.5 stars. Um, Not much to say about that one. Next book I wrote was One Week in Paradise by Anise Starr. In my readathon, I had to read a book that spanned a week. I read One Week in Paradise. You know, it is not fair to read a book about warm weather, beach, romance, and you're in the dead of winter, February in the northeast of America. It's just not fair. It's cold. I'm in my bed trying to stay warm in 68-degree heat. But One Week in Paradise, what can you say? Cute, really fast read. I like the way the book incorporates social media. I find it interesting watching all these new, like reading all these new books and how they incorporate the use of social media in these TV shows that we watch, like The Bachelor. Um, and when they're done well, they're done well. And you can't fault them for that. Next book I read was Rare Danger. One Week in Paradise, I think I gave that. I didn't rate it on Storygraph. But let's say 3.5 stars. It was good. Rare Danger, I read next. Rare Danger by Beverly Jenkins. 2 stars for me. Possibly could go lower. And I'll tell you why. So, Rare Danger by Beverly Jenkins is a thriller, romantic suspense thriller novella. Very quick read. And I believe that Miss Jenkins, was trying to put so much into this little story that did not like just write a full length. That's how I felt. Write the full length book and come back to me. We do not have to talk about marriage and engagement and having kids before we go on our first date in this type of book. No, I'm not even going to say in this type of book. I can't even think of a time where I would get the ick, and I got the ick. I have never really experienced romantic suspense. So this is my first time, and this is my first Beverly Jenkins book. And maybe that's not fair to me as a reader to experience this book as my first Beverly Jenkins. But I read this as my aunt and I are we're doing our own book club, and we switched our books to Black romance books. So this was my aunt's pick. I did not like it. Very quick, not really thought out. Could have used more pages to get all the thoughts out that Miss Jenkins was thinking about. Yeah, so I gave it 2 stars. I wanted it to be over, and it was only 100 pages. Next, we have The Stand-In by Lily Chu. This was a buddy read from my Discord for the month of February as well. I gave this one 3 stars, 3 stars on the 2.75 3 stars side. I thought that the romance was really weak here. There was never a time I felt like in the book while reading it where the characters, liked each other. You know how when you're reading a slow burn and it's just like, oh, you guys are having those cute moments where the main character, she's having her moments where she's like practically in love with the guy, the way she thinks about him. She's very human, like a self-insert that the author wrote to say like, this is how I would react to this. But we never get the moment where the man is like looking at her longly. The romance was very weak in this book. My favorite part of this book, I don't want to spoil too much, but the relationships that the main character builds outside of this romantic relationship are much stronger than the romantic relationship, and that's what made the book 3 stars for me, and a nice little fun twist at the end. Okay, like 5 more books left. My monthly pick for my book club with my aunt, All I've Wanted, All I've Needed by A.E. Valdez. This book was everything. This is romance, people. This is what romance should be. Do you see this? This is a romance book. I loved almost everything about this. I did not realize that I like strangers to friends to lovers. That is more superior than enemies to lover. I have to read more, but as an enemies to lovers liker, experiencing a slow burn friends to lovers, they just they just don't do it like that. This is about our character Harlow's Sunshine. She pretty much breaks up with her boyfriend, moves across the country, well, not across, halfway across the country to Seattle, and she pretty much builds a new life there and makes a new friend. Um, and is dealing in the book with her ex. So he's not like oh, we just broke up. He's involved, probably the main antagonist of the whole book. Um, but she also is building a relationship with someone else, friendship wise. And it's not like it's so precious because it's not like a distinct, yeah, oh, I like you, we're together. It just slowly builds up, dropping hints. We're communicating. Yeah, we're not really friends anymore. We're more than that. And then they get together. Prior to that, the reason why this book has lost zero point 0.5 stars and is not a 5-star read, what's the number one worst trope to ever exist besides the pregnancy one? If you said miscommunication trope, you are correct. I will not discuss any further. Miscommunication trope ruins everything. It should not exist. Moving on. Such a good book. So good. So cute. I just want to hug her. A.E. Valdez. Next book, we're going to get serious for a second. I listened to The 100 Years War on Palestine by Rashid Khalidi. 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 I listened to this book. Took me about 2 days to fully listen to it. This is a good introductory into the war on Palestine. As someone who didn't really understand the whole history about it, so I was glad to get that understanding of how this war started, why it's still going on, and with everything that's going on in the world today, I'm finding that I'm wanting to be up ahead or understand more about the current events going on and not just get all of my information from the internet and start relying on our books to read. So this was a good introductory to me. It made me go and do more research on the war on Palestine. Um, Next, towards the end of the month, I read Jade City by Fonda Lee. This book is a TikTok sensational, and I'm sorry to say, I did not really, no, I'm not going to lie. I did somewhat enjoy Jade City. This book is a slice of life book. It is not, I did not experience a lot of the fantasy elements that I was expecting, except for the fact that the characters have jade. Some of them have them encrusted into their bodies. Let's start from the beginning. Jade City is pretty much supposed to be a mafia clan novel about the war on jade, the mineral. People that have jade and can wear jades called green bones, they get this immense strong power. We're following a family, siblings, as they go through as pretty much the leaders of this clan. And they are in war with another alternate clan that rule over the same country area. First half of this book was boring. I felt no attachment, no one to root for in the first half. Um, the second half, though, the book started getting good. I enjoyed the second half so much more than the beginning. And it's just like, I usually have a 5-chapter rule. It's like if the first 5 chapters don't get me going, you have to, you just stop, you DNF. I did DNF this book back in 2021, but I was like, I'm a different person now. We're going to come back. Or 2022, one of the years I did DNF. Came back, I'm a different person. We're going to push through. It did help that this book was a buddy read, so I did have other people to talk to with it. But besides that, I will be continuing Jade War because I did like the way that it ends. And I have my own desires for how I want the story to go, which I'm sure I didn't write this book. So if I'm thinking that it's going to be as straightforward as the way I want it to be, it's not going to. But I am starting to like the characters and how they're growing. So I will continue. 3.25 stars. Last two books. I read Lipsticks and Camera Clicks by DJ Murphy. This is pretty much a love triangle. As someone that loves reverse harems, why do we have to choose? Why choose? Why do I have to choose? Why? ¿Por qué no los dos? Why can't I have both? Which I'm glad that I understood that going in, because I wanted, like, the cover of the book. I'll share it somewhere right here. There's two guys on there. I'm like, oh, she's got a little poly thing going on. Nope. She has to choose one of them. This is pretty much The Bachelor, which is not bad per se. I just feel like if you're going to write, I've tried, it's funny because I remember distinctly when I was growing up trying to write a Bachelor type book and focused a lot more on the production side of it, because I feel like there's a lot of production that goes behind these reality TV shows, and I felt like the book, this book right here, could have definitely gone more into it. I ended up giving this 3 stars. I said on Goodreads, I wish it wasn't Why Choose, but I was happy with how it went, and it was fine. It was really cute. No romances this month where I felt like, why are they together? No, it was really cute. The book kind of sets it up where you know who the character is going to pick, so it wasn't too bad. And knowing that it was a love triangle, and not a Why Choose, you kind of like, okay, fine. I'm not going to get too heavily involved in her not picking the other guy. This is a debut by DJ Murphy, and it was well written. There was no problems with the writing except for describing the main character and her values and wants and how that connects with the story. Other than that, loved it. Finally, finally, the final book of February 2024 was Take a Hint, Dani Brown by Talia Hibbert. This was a reread. I think I read this last year or in 2022. I don't remember. I gave this one 4.5 stars, maybe 5 stars. Second time around, there's nothing, a he falls first romance. It can't get any better than that. Yes, you better love me first. I loved everything about this book. Dani and Saphir, perfect. They're perfect. And Talia Hibbert did her big one with the Brown Sisters trilogy. I read all of them, and I was glad to finish my Black History romance Valentine's month with this book, this reread, because it still had me warm and fuzzy inside, and I loved it. I love Dani. I love Zafir. I love their families. I love Chloe in this book. It was incredible. It was incredible. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today for my February 2024 reads. This is my first time recording in this format, so I'll get more comfortable. Now I realize that I need to be more impactful with my reviews and things that I want to say, which has been a goal for mine. But don't worry, as time goes by, we'll get better at this. And I'll be more organized. I just wanted to get this out of here because I didn't want to just ignore it and never do it, and figure out my spacing and my lighting. We'll get everything together as things come by. But yeah, I'll talk to you all in the next one. Bye. achieve optimal quality. We want the best, we want the utmost quality with this. It helps when you're not wearing your glasses so you can't see anything. I can't see anything except my phone because I'm nearsighted, you know.